Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the page of algebra which comes up in every single exam. So the first thing we do here is we multiply out the brackets. So we do 3 lots of x and we do 3 lots of 4. So 3 lots of x gives us 3x, 3 lots of 4 is plus 12. What we then need to do is 2 lots of 5x, which is 10x, 2 lots of minus 1, which is minus 2. And if we get 3 out of those 4 bits correct, we get ourselves our first mark. Now the next thing we're going to do is going to get together the like terms. Now the first one we do is we deal with the x's, but not only do we circle the x's, we circle the sign in front of it as well. So we've got 3x plus 10x, which gives us 13x. We then add together the numbers, so plus 12 minus 2, and 12 minus 2 is 10. Okay, the next one, we've got two brackets next to each other, so we use the smiley face method. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the left eyebrow, which is 2x times x, which is 2x squared. We're going to do the right eyebrow, which is 1 times minus 4, which is going to be minus 4. The next thing we do is the nose, which is 1 times x, which is plus x. And then we do the mouth, which is 2x times minus 4, which is minus 8x. So then we've got to simplify, and we always simplify the nose and the mouth. So we simplify this plus x, or plus 1x, and then minus 8x. So what I tend to do when I teach this is I think about a temperature scale with 0 here. Now to start off with, we got plus 1x, so plus 1x. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go down by 8x, because we're taking away, so we're going to go down the number scale. So if we go down by 8, that's going to go past 0, it's going to go into minus 7x. So simplifying it, we've got 2x squared, because we haven't got any more x squareds in this bit here. The nose and the mouth here simplifies to minus 7x, then we've got that minus 4 on the end. I would always recommend doing this over here on the right hand side of the screen when it comes to dealing with negative numbers. So if you're going to add negative numbers or subtract negative numbers, always do the number line there. Okay, factorise means to put into brackets. So to start off with, we're going to have a set of brackets. But the fact that it says factorise completely and the fact that it's worth 2 marks means that you have to take out more than one thing. So the first thing is we have a look at the numbers. We've got 6 here and we've got 9 here. So we've got to find a number that goes into 6 and 9. And the biggest number is 3. Remember, even if there's another number, you've got to take out the biggest number that you can think of. So that number's going to be 3. And then we see if there's anything else. And because it says completely, it means that there should be a letter that we take out as well. So we've got a y squared in this one over here, and we've got an xy in this one over here, so that we can take out a y. Now we're going to do the opposite to what we've done over here. So 3y times by this thing makes 6y squared. So we've got to figure out what this bit is. So to get the 6, we do 3 times 2, so the 2 goes in there. But 3y times 2 would only be 6y, and we want 6y squared, so we're going to need another y in there. So y times y will give us the y squared. We then have a minus sign in the middle. So put a minus sign there. And then we do 3y times by this thing over here, and that gets us 9xy. So 3 times by another 3 will get us the 9. We've already got a y, but we also need to have an x in there. So that's our answer, and that goes on this line here. Okay, question 12. N is an integer, and we've got to write down all the possible values of n. Now, this question is quite common, and when it looks like this, all you've got to do is write down all the numbers that are between minus 3 and 1. Integers just means a whole number, so we can't have like 2.7 or minus 1.6. It's got to be a whole number. So all the numbers between minus 3 and 1 are minus 2, minus 1, 0. However, as we can see here, it says n is less than or equal to 1. So because it's got this line, if it just looked like that, we wouldn't include the 1. But because it looks like that, it means that we can include the 1 as well. So we get that there. If it said less than or including minus 3, we'd include the minus 3 as well, but it doesn't. Question B, 3p minus 7 is greater than 11. What we do here is we solve it just like any other algebraic equation. So the first thing we've got to do is get rid of this minus 7. So to get rid of minus 7, we need to add it to the other side. If we do that, we get 3p is greater than 18. So then we don't want 3 lots of p, we want 1 lot of p. So at the moment this means 3 times p. So to get rid of the times by 3, we do the opposite. And the opposite of times by 3 is divided by 3. So we do 18 divided by 3, you get 6. And that's our answer for that one. So it's exactly the same as any other algebraic equation. Just instead of the equal sign, we've got this greater than sign here. And it wouldn't make any difference to the question if it looked like that there. We just make sure we keep the sign the same all the way through. And again, it doesn't matter if the question had the sign going the other way. You still get the final answer of p equals 6. It's just this sign that changes each time. Okay, next question, question 13. Now we've got two right angled triangles here. Now when we see right angled triangles, it's either going to be trig or Pythag. And the giveaway to which one's which, trig has an angle and Pythag just has all the sides. So if we have a look at question A over here, we've got this side, we've got this side, and we need to find this side. So this one must be a Pythag question. With question B over here, we've got a side, we've got this side, but we're also asked to find out angle RPQ. Now RPQ, if you draw a line from the letters R to P to Q, you've actually made this angle here. So in this one we've got two sides, which is this one, and an angle, which is this one. So therefore we're going to be using trigonometry for this one. Okay, so Pythagoras. Pythagoras said that a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And the most important thing to remember with Pythagoras is that c squared isn't the side we're looking for necessarily, it's always the longest side. So in this case, the longest side is the diagonal one, or the one, so this one here, or the one that's opposite the right angle. So this is going to be C. Then it doesn't matter which one you call A and which one you call B. So I'm going to call that one A, I'm going to call this one B. So now we've got to do A squared. So 6 squared, we don't know what B is, so we leave that as B squared. Then that equals 13 squared. And that will get us our first mark. Our next mark is for simplifying this and getting B squared equals. So 6 squared is going to be 36. We don't know what B is, so we leave that as B equals, so B squared. And 13 squared is 169. Now, if we're looking for the longer sides, we need to add the numbers together, but because we're looking for the shorter side, we can subtract the numbers. So b squared equals 169 take away 36, which is 133. And then the final answer is for getting rid of the squared, so the opposite of squared is square root. So square root of 133, and this is where we get a second mark, and that equals 11.5. Well, actually, on the calculator it says 11.53256, blah blah blah. But if you have a look at the question, it says give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Now what 3 significant figures means is that you underline 3 numbers here, and then your next number tells us to either round it up or keep it the same. And 3, because that's less than 5, it means that we keep it the same. So our final answer is 11.5. Okay, then the next question is the trigonometry question. So, as we said a second ago, we're looking for this angle here. So we'll call this angle, let's call it theta. We don't have to call it theta, we call it x, we can call it a for angle. It's completely up to us. So if we use the Greek symbol theta, that's what we're looking for. So the first thing to do in this is we need to write down which sides are which. Now if this is the angle that we're looking for, then the opposite side over here, that's going to be called the opposite. The hypotenuse, which is the longest side, or the diagonal one, it's going to be that one. Then there's going to be one more side, and we call that one the adjacent. So that's job 1. Once we've done that, we need to write out all of the excuse me, all of the triangles. So we write out SOH, CAH, and TOA, SOHCAHTOA. And, sorry, it look like an H. So what we've got here is we've got two sides involved in the question and one side not involved. So the one length that we don't have is the opposite. So let's get rid of that one. So the two sides that we're going to be using are A and H. So we have a look at the first triangle, and that only involves O and H. So we don't need that one. The second triangle uses A and H, so we're going to use this one. Just to double check though, the other one over here only uses O and A, so we don't want that one. So what we need is we need to use the triangle CAH, the one in the middle here. So the way we do that is we cover up the letter that we're trying to find. Now we've got A, we've got H, so the thing that we don't know is the angle, so we cover up that letter there, C. So we can write C, which stands for cos of the angle. So C equals A divided by H. And that's pretty much what we write down. So instead of C, we write cos of our angle, or cos of theta, equals A over H. Now we know that A is 17, and we know that H is 25. So cos theta equals 17 over 25, which we can do in our calculator. And now we don't want cos theta though, that's not the angle. We want to know what theta is, so we need to get rid of this cos. So when we're looking for the angle, and we only do this when we're looking for the angle, we use shift cos. That looks like cos to the minus 1. And then whatever that number is, 17 over 25, which I think turns out to be 0.68. So it does turn out to be 0.68. So if we do inverse cos of 0.68, we get 47.15635696 in our calculator. And again, we've got to round to one decimal place. So one decimal place is that there. But then our next number, 5, tells us that it's got to be rounded up. So instead of 47.1, it gets rounded up to 47.2 degrees. And that's our final answer. Okay, it's important to make sure that you're up to speed with that, because Pythagoras and trigonometry pretty much comes up every exam. So if you can do that, that's 6 big marks in the middle of your paper. Okay, moving on. Question 14. And we're told that initially that A equals 4BC, or 4 times B times C. Now we're told that A equals 100, and that 4 times by B, which is 2, times by C. So if we simplify that, we've got 100 equals 8 times C. So 8 lots of something equals 100. So the way we figure that out is we do C equals 100 divided by 8, which turns out to be 12.5. So that's our first mark. Sorry, that's our first 2 marks for doing that. And now we've got to do the second one, make K the subject to the formula. Now, traditionally, loads of students hate doing this and end up not getting the marks. But what we've got to do is think about untangling a knot. So we've got K plus 1 over 4. Okay, so we want to get rid of everything and just leave the K on this side. So the first thing that we need to get rid of is this square root sign. So all the time we do the opposite. So the opposite of the square root sign is the squared sign. So we do squared to the other side. That equals K plus 1 over 4. So all we've done so far is we've got rid of this square root sign, and we've done that by doing the opposite to the other side. So we've squared this side. Okay, now the next thing we're going to get rid of is the divided by 4, because that divided by 4 is dividing everything. So we're going to get rid of this divided by 4, and again, we do that by doing the opposite. So it's going to be 4 times m squared, which in algebra we just write as 4m squared. And that leaves us with k plus 1. The final thing that we want to get rid of is this plus 1. And again, we do the opposite. So the opposite of plus 1 is minus 1. So we get 4m squared minus 1, that equals k. And again, that's, again, 5 marks, and it's a lot quicker than the previous 6 marks. But if you are confident doing that, again, it comes up with quite regular frequency. Question 15, we've got to work out the area of the trapezium of QRST. So QRST. Now, I haven't put the formula here, but there's 2 ways of doing this. The formula that's in the front of your exam looks something like half of A plus B times by H, or it might be A plus B over 2 times by H. And that's how you work out the area of a trapezium. And in this case, A and B are the 2 parallel sides. So that the 2 parallel sides here are here and here. So I'll do 4 plus 12 equals 16. I'm going to do half of that, and we multiply by the height, or h. Now the height is the distance between them, which in this case is 10. So 4 plus 12 is 16. Half of that is going to be 8. So it's going to be 8 times by 10, which equals 80. And it's going to be 80 centimeters squared. Okay, there is another way of doing this, and hopefully, if I don't make any mistakes, it should be exactly the same answer. And the way we do it is, again, we have a look at the shape QRST, but then we split it, excuse me, we split it into 2 shapes here. So we've got the rectangle here, which is 10 by 4, which is 40 centimeters squared. Then we've got this triangle here, which is 10 across, and then something up. So that's 10, and we don't know what it is up. We know that the whole thing is 12, but we also know that this bit here is 4. So if that's 4 and the whole thing is 12, without too much maths, we can figure out that this thing here is 8. Now, again, the way we work out the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So 10 times by 8 is 80, divided by 2 equals 40. So we've got 40 centimeters squared for the top area, 40 centimeters squared for the bottom area, which when you add it together, thankfully, is 80 centimeters squared. Okay, and now, so that was 2 marks, and now we've got to work out the length of PT. Again, it's worth reminding you all the time here that you can pause this video at any time, go over those 2 bits again. It's important to make notes because, like I say, these questions come up so regularly that if you can nail 1, 2, 3, 4 of these questions, it's going to make a big difference to your final grade. Okay, so let's get rid of all these scribbles on the diagram and have a look at the next question. We've got to work out the length of PT. So, we've got to work out this here. And what we have here, and again, these questions, they aren't that easy to spot, but we've got 2 triangles. We've got PTQ, so PTQ, with that being 4 centimeters, and this is what we've got to work out here. And then we've got the bigger triangle, which is PRS, and that's 12 centimeters. Now, because this angle here and this angle here are the same, oh sorry, it's worth repeating as well that that's the bit that we're looking for, and this bit here is 10 centimeters. Now, because this angle and this angle are the same, it means that they're what's called similar triangles. And similar triangles means that one is an enlargement of the other one. So it's a matter of getting used to it. Have a look again at what this diagram looks like. What we've got here is a big triangle, and then we've got a smaller triangle with inside it, and it uses the same angle. So if that's the case, that is a similar triangle. And the trickiest part about this question is recognizing that. If you can recognize that, then the next bit of maths isn't quite so bad. So similar triangles means that it's an enlargement. So one side is an enlargement of the other side. So what we have a look at is the corresponding sides. So this side here and this side here, one's been enlarged to get that one. So what we do is we have a look at the scale factor. So to get from this one to this one, we simply multiply by 3. So to get from this one to this bottom one down here, we times by 3. Now, if we call this question mark x, we've got x times by 3 equals, and then that's going to be this side, which is x plus 10. Now, this one is quite tricky, that's why it's starting to go into the A grade marks. You might be able to spot what the answer is, or we can say that 3x equals x plus 10. So if we simplify that, that's going to be 2x equals 10, x equals 5. So PT, this angle here, which we said was x, is going to be 5 centimeters. And again, that's worth 3 marks. But the first mark is going to be for recognizing that it's a similar triangle and seeing that the scale factor is times by 3. Then we're going to get second mark for getting to either this stage here or the one below it here. Okay, the next question is question 16. And we've got to work out percentage profit. So the way we work out percentage profit is we do the actual profit divided by the original amount and then times by 100. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got an actual profit. If you buy a house for 150,000 instead of 154,500, we've got 4,500 as the actual profit. The original amount is 150,000. We're going to times that by 100. So then on the calculator, we do 4,500, and you guys do this at the same time. 4,500 divided by 150,000, then times that by 100, and you should end up getting 3%. And being able to do that is worth 3 marks. Again, it's not that tricky. And if you can remember that to work out percentage profit, we use this here. Again, you guys revise and say this is only going to take 2 minutes to try and revise that and try and memorize it. Then, again, it's worth 3 marks. Now, again, the next question is something that we've done a lot before. So it's a compound interest question. And with a compound interest question, we have the original amount. So we have the amount, which is 154,500, times by the percentage increase to a power. Now the percentage increase has got to be 4% extra per year. So the way we do that is if we've got our original amount, which is 100%, if we add on 4%, that equals 104%. Now if you write 104% as a decimal, what you do is you move the decimal point along 2 places. So that's going to be 1.04. So to increase something by 4%, you use this. So you add 4% on to get 104%, move the decimal point over by 2 places, which is 1.04. So we're going to increase by 1.04, and because it's over 2 years, we raise it to the power of 2. So if you then type into your calculator 154,000 times by 1.04 to the power of 2, you end up getting 166,566.4 pounds. That doesn't really make that much sense until you put it into pounds and pence. So it's going to be 166,566 pounds and 40 pence.